Hey, collective. Welcome back to my channel. We're going to be talking about manipulation today. Now, let me just tell you, not all corruption looks dramatic. Sometimes it starts with one small compromise. So today we're going to learn to see it in ourselves and in others. Welcome, Divine Collective. We're going to get going. We're going to rescue ourselves out of the bonds of manipulation. Now, let me tell you, manipulation is rarely loud. It's kind of unchecked. It's that kind of unchecked desire that doesn't announce itself. And you can morally drift without even knowing it. And it don't happen overnight. Like it usually begins small when you like bend the truth a little bit, or you might just want to take a little shortcut. You might be wanting something so bad that clarity kind of fades. You know, you're not clear in the head. You might ignore that quiet in the warning. We always talk about how that's a saver. But today's reading going to help you. It's going to help me and you. We're going to recognize our subtle manipulations that's around us, those evil energies that's always trying to sneak up. And we're going to examine what some of the blind spots, because I'm telling you, sometimes I feel like it sneak up on me. And we're going to see where, the desire kind of clouds the judgment, where we begin finesse, you know. You got to restore your integrity too. And we got to choose alignment every time. Now, just take a breath because it's not going to be hard. Clarity protects us, collective, and honesty going to strengthen us too. But before we begin, you already know how we do this. We got to say a prayer. So I'm glad you guys are back today. And before we get started, let me just go ahead and ring the bell and we're going to say a prayer and get started here. I give thanks to the Most High Divine Spirit for being here, for surrounding us with healing energy, and for guiding today's messages. By the grace of the Most High and the Holy Spirit, this space is filled with love, peace, light, and all energies that do not serve our highest good are transmuted into love, healing, and renewing energy. Now let's step into this reading. I'm so glad that you guys are back with me today. We're going to be using two decks. I got the Empath Soul Pastel Dream Tarot deck. And then we're also going to be using What's the Tea? Because What's the Tea? It might going to be appropriate for this subject here. All right. Now, let me just tell you, was getting a download. I've been in and out. Every time something comes up in my life, I go within and then I come out with a reading. So here we are. Okay. I just want to remind you guys that all readings on this channel are general. So take what resonates with your heart and just simply set aside what else that doesn't. Okay. And just let it float on down the stream. Let the universe recycle it. And the readings are timeless. So the meaning's going to find you when you're meant to hear them. All right. So let's just get started. Now, this reading is called let me see what we named this one. I think I called this one the Recognizing Manipulation, Unchecked Desire, and Moral Drift. Now, the only way you're going to be blessed, collective, is if you're in good standing with the Most High Divine, where all things come. All right. And so we got to make sure we know what's going on. You're not going to get blessed if you're not in the right energy. And it's not just about wanting something and receiving it. You actually have to do spiritual cleansing. So that's why we're here today, okay? I've been spiritually cleansing, healing, resting, integrating. It's been great. So the first card out, we're going to ask Spirit, the situation that needs discernment. Spirit, Holy Spirit, ancestors, and Holy Spirit, what's the situation that needs discernment for the collective and I out here? And I'm going to tell you, I got these new cards. They're really nice. I think I got them off of, I want to say Amazon. But okay, so we got a Six of Cups in reverse. All right. So now we're talking about Six of Cups in reverse. And what we're looking at is like living in the past. All right. This card shows the situation where something feels slightly off. It may look dramatic, but your intuition is nudging you to look closer. All right, collective. And this Six of Cups is saying living in the past, that's always a problem because realistically, no one can go back in the past and change what happened. They can only acknowledge what happens today and try to fix it. Okay. But what this is telling me is that the issue is subtle, or it might even be being ignored. You may be one person who always drift back into the past and bring it into the future, making it part of what you got going on now. All right. You may brush off things because they're not comfortable to you. but these are the things that are keeping you stuck, and so one of the techniques that I, channeled and wrote down was you always got to name the situation clearly without exaggerating. You can't be dramatic about it. Whatever it is, if you're living in the past, you can't say, I live in the past because that's who I am. The past is who I made me who I am. Who are you today? Okay. And let me tell you how this helps. When you define the situation plainly, what you're going through, you remove all that emotional fog that you got around it. And clarity makes it easier to assess all the facts that's what's going on with you in the present instead of feeling alone or feeling like people don't understand you or anything. Okay. So we're going to start there. And thank you, Spirit, for that card. Thank you. So we may not even know what the signs of manipulation was. I know I didn't, trying to be a good person, because you can't house the same energy. You can't be an angel energy and then lower south node energy at the same time. You kind of oscillate back and forth. So when we're in a higher energy and other people are in a lower energy, you're not going to really always, recognize it. So some of the signs of the manipulation, all right? So we're going to ask Spirit, what are some of the signs of the manipulation that we may be missing? 2 came out and I'm going back in. Let's see what we can get out. Okay. 2 came out again. You guys, you know my rule. I try to do 1 card per question, because sometimes I'm not doing like a full flow read, but I do the interpretation of the cards between each other. So get 1 card out at a time makes it easier to do that. All right. And so what came out was the 7 of Cups. So it's all about emotions out here, because these cups are falling out here right now. We got 6 in reverse and 7 upright. But the 7 is telling us that we may be into dreaming and wishful thinking, that's allowing the manipulation to bypass us in our clarity. Okay. And not seeing things for what they really are, all in your feelings, because that's how you want it to be, but you got to be real with yourself. This card tells the behaviors that may be influencing you unfairly in your life, or ways you may be influencing others without realizing it. Okay. And so what this is telling me is that manipulation is active, collective. If we're not around here daydreaming, and that's when you start casting people as roles in your lives instead of seeing how they truly interact with you. Okay, so we're over here looking at this where we were living in the past, and then if you're living in the past and daydreaming about it, if the past caused you any kind of pain and you stay in that daydream, you didn't just set yourself on a cycle loop of just replaying hurtful things over and over. Okay, now here's the thing: you may feel pressured or guilty, or you might be even subtly blame yourself, but that's not what this is about. Okay. A technique that I was able to channel was asking myself the question, do I feel clear or confused after an interaction with somebody, or after even thinking about something, or after being triggered into a thought pattern or whatever? Does it clear me out or does it confuse me? Okay. Now, how this helps, okay? Confusion is often a signal, and recognizing it helps you pause and gather all your facts instead of just reacting emotionally. When you react emotionally, emotions should be used for manifestation. If you're around here giving up your energy like that to every emotion and there's nothing attached to it, you're really just wasting your energy. You're wasting your life source. I'm not going to lie to you, collective. And so that's what it's about. It's about healing, learning how to hold yourself, knowing when to pause, knowing when to use your energy for the best benefit. Okay. Now, I just want to say, please like this video and comment where you're listening from right now. That's going to help me. Okay. Thank you. Because the likes and the comments help my channel grow, and it gets our healing messages out to the collective. So please and thank you. Please and thank you. Subscribe too, because I have techniques that are going to help you that you can use every day. They're not hard. You're going to be able to recall them too, and they're going to be effective. I guarantee it. Now, I'm not giving you no money back guarantee, but I'm telling you they work for me, and hopefully, and I'm praying that it'll work for you too, collective. So, talking about being daydreamed and living in the past and on this cycle loop, you need to know where your desires are clouding your judgment. Why do you keep doing this to yourself, collector? Why do we keep doing ourselves? So we're going to ask um, the divine, where is the judgment being clouded? And that's a three. Too many came out there. All right. And we got a temperance in reverse. And you already know what that means. We're unbalanced. Okay. And so what this card shows is that what you want so badly might blur your thinking. It might unbalance you. You know, there might be some things you out there doing, you know they're bad. You know nothing's good gonna come from them. But because you want them so badly, you know what I mean? That's what it means. You're bypassing, you're morally drifting, and you're manipulating yourself into believing something that's not true, that could never ever be true. Okay. And you're beginning to see it clearly. All right. This is what it's telling me. Because the excitement might fade in the reality. When that reality set in, you like, oh, what have I done? Yeah, yeah. Just like how they say in the verses, they know not what they do, but once you become aware, you can't bypass yourself. Every red flag you miss, it's almost like you're telling yourself in the divine you don't care. And so you're not going to be blessed from that. However, there's a way to get around, this kind of energy and just getting back into alignment. One of the techniques I use, I ask a question. If I didn't want this so badly, what would I notice? Okay. So think about it. When you morally drifting and being manipulated by your others or even by your own thoughts, it's basically because it's something that you're desiring so badly. So you got to ask yourself, if I didn't want this so bad, what would I notice? Okay. And how does help? When you remove the desire from the equation, your discernment gets stronger. Okay. It separates what you want from what is true. And you got to try that. That's taking your power back, collective. I'm telling you, it's going to help you big time. All right. And a lot of times, before others are testing our boundaries, we're testing them ourselves. So we're going to ask the divine and our spirit guides and the ancestors, what boundary is being tested? And what came out was the Ace of Swords in reverse. Okay. And the Ace of Swords is just letting me know that we're probably thinking about loss of being around people. This card shows a value or a limit that's being challenged. And whenever we got values and limits being challenged, some of the moral drifting, we know right from wrong, but we'll kind of drift from it. Start with like small boundary tests. You know what I'm saying? You know when you're being unbalanced. You know when you're doing something. You know the difference between right or wrong. And you're weighing that against what you want. What you want does not change God's law or the truth or whoever, the most high divine, the universe truth. Okay. All right. And what this is showing me is that the line is slowly shifting, collective. You got to pay attention to. You can't tell yourself, you can't make what's up down and what's down up for you just because you want it to be. That's not how life goes, because then you still going to set yourself up for the karma and a lesson that you're going to have to um, you know cleanse from and heal from. Okay. But one of the things that I learned to do to kind of build myself up so I could become like in this boss energy, I started writing down my non-negotiable values. Like collective, I would say just write down one non-negotiable value, one that you know is it balances the scales in your life. Okay. And I'm gonna tell you how this helps. When you got clear values, they act like guardrails. Okay. So when you see your standard in writing as higher, it's no, when you write that standard that you got for yourself down, it's higher to you and it's harder to quietly like lower your own standard for yourself or even others. Okay. So you got to make sure that you're participating in your own rescue that way. All right. Now, if you feel me on this, let me know by putting a rose in the comments. Okay. We're going to use roses for Oracle Rose Healing Tarot just so I can know that I'm on track and I'm actually sharing with you guys. A lot of these readings I do for myself because you're never too old to learn. And you're, as long as you're alive, you're going to be evolving. So the fact that you can even learn on a daily basis is actually a blessing. Okay. But back to this reading, as we are moving in counter energies that's like this is Ace of Swords energy in reverse, where we're just really just, just standing there and just being in obstacles and loss and feeling like because we may lose out, we can bend the rules a little bit. No, no, no. We got to make sure that we know where our contributions are. So collective, we're going to ask the divine and the spirit guides, what's collective's own contribution in this? This is the card that's going to look where we're going to look at honestly what we're doing on our part, because growth requires self-awareness, not blame. All right. And the card that came out was judgment in reverse. I actually like this card, to tell you the truth, because in reverse, it's just saying that we might be we're being judged by others. Okay. And so we are actually um when we get judged by others, so what this is telling me is that we might avoid speaking up or telling the full truth. Okay. However, no, we're becoming aware of our role in all of this when we're being manipulated. You know how people say, I just peep it, but I don't be saying nothing. No, collective, say something in that moment. Because the moment you walk away, you ponder on it, and then you try to go back to the person who was causing the manipulation, it's like they try to switch the story, or it's revision done to the story, and they don't remember and they don't recall it that way. So you got to call it in a moment, okay? But one of the techniques that I use here is that I always ask myself, what's my part in it? How am I avoiding responsibility? Now, how that helped me is that when I own my own role in their collective, it restores my power. Nobody can take from me. It moves me from like a being passive participant to an active decision maker when it comes around all this manipulation. All right. And I'm not getting played. All right. And I let people know I see the play, the underplay for the overplay. But awareness is always that. We live this life where people just are fake and they wear masks and they never talk about what's going on. They play games with each other. We do this in life, love, and romance, and then wonder why our manifestations are down, why we're in, feeling bouts of depression and things like that. Because we're actually are not being aware with the energy. And that's why we're here at Oracle Rose Healing Tarot, because it's more about, owning your energy, becoming a participant in your own rescue, and making sure that you are in charge and no one's like pulling you all over this earth and knocking you away from your blessings. Okay. Now, if these messages are resonating, please put roses in those comments for me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And please like and comment. Help grow my channel, collective, because I'm telling you, a lot of times I be thinking, should I even share this information? But I know it's good information. And I'm the type of person that I know there's abundance out here. So when God give me something, I don't hold it to myself. I always share it. All right. So the next card out is what gets us here, and we know it's going to be some kind of emotions, right? So we're going to ask the spirit guides and the ancestors and the Most High Divine, what's the emotional driver behind all this allowing the manipulation? And the Five of Swords coming out. So now we're talking about, now you see how these swords are falling. Now these swords are out here, and the Five of Swords is weakness. Okay, that's what we're feeling weak, or feeling weak for whoever. This card is shows what emotion is feeling this manipulative behavior, or being involved with manipulation, or playing parts in manipulation. Okay, it could be insecurity, fear, pride, jealousy, ambition, all those energies that are not of the Most High Divine. Okay, now you might feel threatened or desperate for approval, collective. And we all have felt that way in some, we flubbed here and there, you know, uh, trying to manipulate people to come around to seeing it our way. And we might tell a little white lie over here, or lie about actual events or the order or something that happened. But this is not going to help. Okay. And so what this is telling me is that the emotion is hidden or denied. You might be not denying the weakness that you have to being manipulated. Okay. And it's okay. You claim you're fine, but you might even be resentful about it. All right. So I was meditating on this, and the technique that came to me was naming the emotion out loud. All right. How this helps? Always by naming the emotion, it reduces their control. Okay, whatever it is, whatever the person's doing in the moment with you, and you're feeling manipulating. A lot of times they say, "Oh, y'all overusing the gaslighting term or whatever it is." You can tell someone you're not being clear, or you're twisting the story, or what does that have to do with what we're talking about in the moment? Why are you leading the story in a different direction? I would like to resolve one issue at a time. And then if they refuse to, like I get in a lot of, I get pulled away from my energy by people trying to pull me back in the past because they see me happy today. They want me to go back to the past and keep apologizing for something I can barely remember now. And so if I allow them to, it happens. And so I'll tell people, you are traveling to the past. I'm not going to try to work my memory that way. You know what I'm saying? And when you identify this, it loses all intensity in the interaction, and it becomes more manageable to what you're trying to do and what you're trying to get done with the person around you. All right, or with the people around you, or even in the situation that you're in. All right. But you got to know that being in this energy is never going to be helpful. And so I knew that I had to break the cycles that I was going through with the manipulative energy that I had going on, collective. And because there was a cost to continuing it. Okay. So I'm going to tell you, let me show you. I asked the Lord what would happen if I just said nothing, because I didn't want to rock the boat. But and we're going to ask the cost of continuing. The Queen of Swords came out here. And if you notice, all these swords are dropping out here. And when you got the Queen of Swords, now we're talking about truth and justice. All right. Truth and justice is going to show this is where you feel slightly less aligned with yourself over time. Because if you drift, the drift rarely explodes, but it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger until you can't help it. And at that point, that's when the Queen of Swords energy gonna come and get you. Because what this card is telling me is that if the Queen of Swords energy got to come straighten you out, if you continue with being manipulated, that means your trust and respect is weak. That's that weakness in this energy. See what I'm saying? So the Queen of Swords is gonna have to come clean up this weakness with truth and justice. All right, you know. And not only that, the more you participate in manipulation, others are going to begin doubting your integrity, and then you're going to become a person that nobody trusts and no one's going to want to listen to. All of a sudden, you're going to be talking, and there's going to be people around who refuse to listen. Okay. So I want collective. Here's the thing, and I'm not trying to be. I been in this with someone. After a while, you get tired of having the same conversation over and over, trying to get the truth, or just be have a meeting of the minds with somebody who's trying to play games with you. Who wants to have games play with them all the time? You know. So one of the things I want you to do, collective, just picture yourself 6 months ahead of time in your path with the person who you're dealing with, the situation you're in, wherever this manipulation is taking place, and think about it. Do you still want to be there 6 months on that same pattern? Okay. Now, if how this help, you got to start future thinking. When you future think, it kind of shift you out of that impulse, and you start to become more wise. Like, I don't want to be doing this in 6 months. If I don't want to be doing it in 6 months, why am I doing it now? It helps you measure long-term impact of these energies over your life. Okay. You see where I went with that? Now, okay. All right. So let me tell you. So we got to start making these clear choices out here. All right. So we're going to ask the divine, would be more, I'm going to say clear choices for the collective. Five of Wands. Okay. So getting the Five of Wands energy right here. And what this is telling me is that you're going to have to start leveling up. We're going to have to start leveling up. Leveling up. You see how they're pointing up? Everybody's looking up. They're ready. They're ready to, their wands are sparked. They're ready to work their magic to get up out this manipulation. And what this is telling me is that you know what's right. even if it's difficult, collective. You know what's right. My grandfather used to say all the time, I may not know much, but I know the difference between right and wrong. And that's how you get closer to the divine, because the most high divine is good all the time. All right. So you know what's right and you know what to do. This card represents clean, honest decisions, even if it feels uncomfortable. All right. Direct honesty is going to always be needed. All right. And you set your boundaries clearly, calmly. That's what you want to do. So, one of the techniques I do, I say one clear, simple truth without attacking anyone. You know, I like to speak truthfully. I'm a truth teller. I notice people who can easily be manipulated and use manipulation to get their point across will accuse me of being a manipulator, even when I know I'm not. But projection, we know about that. We know about that, collective. It's not, we really don't care. However, one of the things I do, I just say one clear, simple truth. I don't attack nobody. And how this helped me, when I communicate directly, it reduces manipulation. Okay. And it restores my self respect. Everybody else can be talking out the side of their mouth, but I know what I said. I know what I said. I know what I meant. You'll get those people. I'll give you an example. You'll get those people where you'll speak to them directly. You'll tell them exactly what you mean, what you said. You use the words that actually mean, by definition, what you said. And they'll respond back to you and go, in other words, you're saying, and I'll stop them right there, because here comes the manipulation. And I'll say to them, there are no other words. The words that I used are the ones that I used. And then it'll get sent up from there because they got caught in the manipulation. Okay. So you got to reclaim your power. Okay. And reclaiming your integrity. And that's the next card out. So we're going to be asking the divine and the spirit guides, how do we reclaim our integrity? And the fool came out of here, jumped out the deck by taking a risk. That's what the fool represents. You just got to do it. It's a new beginning. We're moving in a new way out here. We got to just do it. Integrity is an alignment between what you say, believe, and do. All right. And if you're going to be aligned with the most high divine so you can get all your blessings and so you can heal, you're going to have to be aligned, and you're going to have to align what you say, believe, and do with your higher self. Okay. You feel steady when your actions match your value. I'm telling you, collective, nobody can check you. You know you in alignment. Who gonna ride up against you and tell you doing something when you already know you're okay? You realign quickly, even, and you can correct the mistake openly because you're not hiding. You're not a manipulator. That's what I be trying to tell people. I'm not a manipulator. I'll tell you right out front. Okay. Now, because we're healing, you can't change overnight. So the technique that I do, I just try to correct one small thing over time. One small misalignment today. Just correct one thing daily. When you feel misaligned, remember, integrity is alignment between what you say, believe, and do. If those things are not matched up, my granddad said, if your spiritual, your mental, and your physical are not all aligned, you are just all out of whack. And it's true. Those three things have to match. Okay. And this is going to help you, because small correction is going to rebuild trust with others and with yourself, collective. Okay. All right. Now, the clean version of us, once we get through this manipulation, what that look like? So we're going to add spirit. Well, the clean version of the new collective is going to look like what? And Queen of Pentacles energy. And I love me some Pentacles out here. Being a Capricorn, it's for security. Okay. It's for security, it's abundance, it's everything. It's Queen of Pentacles energy. It's like you're going to be able to manifest. You're going to be able to do what is best. Okay. Now this card right here is showing you who you are when desire doesn't control you and when manipulation doesn't influence you. You be able to get in this Queen of Pentacles energy. All right. You're going to feel calmer. You're going to feel clear, more steady. It's going to be working out for you. And you're going to lead with integrity. Okay? Collective. We always should choose honesty, even when no one's watching. Because the Most High Divine can see. And we're not living for the validation of others. So it just because someone doesn't see your moral drift or your moments of unbalanced integrity, that's what we'll call it. All right. It doesn't mean that the divine does not, or the Holy Spirit is not aware. Okay. Now, the technique I use for this, I visualize myself choosing integrity all the time in any situation because this strengthens me. I'm gonna tell you this how this helps me. When I repeat it mentally, it strengthens my self-control. And that helps me. The more you see yourself collective acting with integrity, the easier it becomes to do it in real life. All right. So sometimes you might have to rehearse it, especially if you think you're dealing with people out here who are some manipulators. Okay. And so just to get some examples of some of the energy that you might run into that might have manipulation, I put out what's the T Oracle deck, and we're going to ask the spirits in the Most High, Holy Spirit in the Most High, to tell us about some of the manipulations we can look out for, and just call them by name here. Okay, let's see what we can get out the deck. I had already did a shuffle, so let's just see what we can get. All right. So look at some of these offers that you're getting out of here, collective. Sometimes you may get an offer. It may look good on the surface, but you got to see if there's any fine print. Okay. Any strings attached. It may look good and feel good, but it may be showing up. And you got to ask yourself, why is it showing up at this time in my life? Remember? And does it align? Does it keep me in integrity, believing what I believe and do and say? All right. So we're going to use that as a test on these. Okay. What else? What else, Spirit? Let's see what else we can get. I'm going to use these two that came out. You might get a forcer around you, somebody who forces things on you, forces their way in, uses force to get what they want. That's definitely a manipulator. Pay attention. Somebody who's not listening to you when you're letting them know that something that's not working for you and they're still trying to force it on you. That's manipulation and devil energy. And them people need to get away. And then, of course, if they're threatening you, intimidating you, they threaten or they're bothered by you, they're trying to use that to manipulate you as well. Not going to work. We are what the divine say, touch not my anointed. They people play with the energies out here, but you always have spiritual authority. How it affects you spiritually, you always have the authority on any outside energy. Okay, let's see what else we can get out of this deck here that the divine most high wants us to pay attention to when it comes to manipulation out here in this 3D world. Let's ask, okay, what you got for us, divine? All right, I had two of them come out and they came in the upright, so I'm just gonna go back in. Inside scoop, a closer look, nosy, up in your business. Manipulators trying to get in your business, asking you questions, what they need to know for. What they need to know for, collective. Are they going to help you? What they trying to use that information so they can further their manipulation? Don't be so free with information about yourself. A lot of times manifestation is just like planted seeds. They have to grow in the dark. They have to grow in silence. And so when people start getting nosy up in your business, you can throw your manifestations off. Nobody don't need to know what's going on for you. Their energy can't grow your blessings. You need it. That's between you and the divine. Okay. All right. Let's just get one more out of here and just see what we can get for a closing card on the manipulation spread. All right. Let's see. We almost had a jumper. Let's see what we can get out of here. All right. I had got two. All right. I'm going to take both of these. All right. So when you got love on the brain, dreaming, fantasizing, daydreaming, that was up there and here when we was talking about it. It came out in the spread earlier. And you got to stay in reality. You got to deal with the reality. You can't fit people into whatever type of movie you're playing in your head, a role. You got to see people in reality for who they are, collective. And another thing, you got to see when people ain't shit. Ain't stupid. 18 and up over here, Oracle Rose Healing Tarot. However, you got to see when people ain't got, and they this ain't that. They're not the one, the two, or the three, and you got to let them go and get them out your life because all they're gonna do is bring you down, and we don't need that. Now, let me just tell you, manipulation grows in confusion, collective. Unchecked desire grows in denial. Moral drift, when you start drifting around and you good today and you think you can get away over here, that grows when you can do those little small little compromises. But integrity grows in awareness. You got to be aware. You can't just be sweeping it under the rug and burying your head in the sand. That's not going to help. Okay, you got to choose clarity. You got to choose to be in alignment. I choose every day to be in alignment with the Most High Divine. It's a sweet place to be. You got to choose to steady strength. Okay. And I know you can do it. All right. Because this is Oracle Rose Healing Tarot, where healing becomes you and we participate in our own rescue. So please like, share, and subscribe to keep walking in your light, collective. And I'm going to see you next time because we're going to be healing. All right. Take care.